Oh, Nigel, delighted to be having. I think this is the third chat with your good self. How the devil are you, sir?
Oh, is it? Yeah. Well, this is just one of our many chats over the years. So,
Yeah, I mean the Zoom chat.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I see. Yeah. 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 I don't know whether I'm going to have anything new to say. It's up to you to ask me a question, and hopefully I'll say something interesting.
Okay, yeah, fingers crossed.
Well, I think I'm at a slight disadvantage here. I don't think I've spoken to you before, Nigel, have I?
No, no, you don't go back 50 years, 60 years like me and say.
We went to the same school together, Steve, Liverpool Collegiate.
Yeah, of course. It makes sense now looking at the preparation and what I've been reading about you, Nigel. So, yeah, absolutely. So, it's a silly question, really. How's life in Liverpool today? Because you're not far from Terry, probably, anyway, and I'm only on the Wirral, but so you probably got the same as me.
Well, it's very dull and cloudy at the moment. It was raining a bit this morning, then it was sunny, and it's just like typical August day, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But anyway, so whereabouts are you roughly in Liverpool anyway?
Right in it, right in the middle of it, Liverpool one.
Oh, cool. Cool, nice one.
Just behind where your head is in the picture, there's a picture of the line. Just behind that.
Oh, speaking of Liverpool on the old school, if you won the
Yeah.
lottery tomorrow, would you buy one of those apartments in the Liverpool Collegiate? Have you seen them?
My my nephew lived in one a few
Oh,
years ago. So I've actually been in one, room 34B, as I call it.
oh, was that weird walking around there?
Yeah, John Pritchard's room. It
Yeah.
was it was very
Oh,
good. It was very good, but
yeah,
there was some issue with the landlord. How these things are.
yeah.
So they had to move out, and they've got a house now.
Okay. Would
Yeah,
you ever fancy living there?
need now.
No.
Wrong side of town.
Hmm.
It's Shore Street. I mean, Shore Street's different to how it was in 1970.
Yeah,
It was a bit ropey then, wasn't it?
yeah,
It's
just a
rather
bit.
nice now.
Hmm.
I'm used to this end of town, which is more the middle bit.
Yeah, yeah.
So, since
Yeah.
1980, you've had a career with Britain's favourite comics, some of the best out there. And I remember as a kid, because we're all similar ages, reading some of these, the Dandy, the Beano. So, would you call yourself an artist or a cartoonist? What's your preferred title? What is it? Because I can see a bit of a mix here.
Well, I'm a cartoonist. Some people think cartoonist is just like it's like Steve Bell in The Guardian or Mac in the whatever he was in, doing political stuff. But no, I'm a cartoonist because I draw cartoons.
Oh, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But don't you script some of these as well, don't you?
I have done. I don't at the moment. I don't because, to be honest, writing stuff. I don't even know this, everyone. Writing is hard work.
Yeah. Oh, just a bit.
Drawing is really easy. Well, I shouldn't say that. I find drawing easier than writing because it's kind of natural for me to draw. And we have a great writer in the Beano called Nigel Parkinson, who writes Dennis the Menace, for example, that I draw. He's got some great ideas. So very happy to draw what he wants me to.
Yeah. Now, with your career, you've travelled a great deal all over the country to Comic Cons, Malta
Yeah,
and Greece as well. Tell us about these. Are you active when you get there? Do you give talks and
yeah.
demonstrations of your work?
It depends. I can do. I was in. This is going to sound very romantic. I was in Hull a couple of weeks ago,
Oh,
and I gave a talk then. I was in Macclesfield the week before that, and I gave a demonstration there.
yeah.
I was in London the week before that, and I gave a couple of demonstrations and talks.
Yeah.
I was in where was? Oh yeah, Manchester just this last weekend,
Yeah.
Saturday and Sunday, and I didn't give a talk there. I
Okay.
just drew people. People would come up to me, they'd
Yeah.
see I was Nigel Parkinson from the Beano,
Yeah.
and they'd say, "Oh, I used to read you when I was a kid." And they're like, in middle age.
Yeah.
I said, "All right, yeah." It points out that I'm old, and they'd ask me to draw their dog or draw their dad or themselves sometimes.
Yeah.
And I spend most weekends doing that. I'm in Derby next weekend, just to let you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm all over the place. We were in Dundee a few weeks ago. We were in, where haven't we been recently? We haven't been to Norfolk recently. We haven't been
Okay.
out east.
Yeah.
I'm doing Cardiff in October, London again, Yeah, all over. It's the funny thing is, people all over are the same. They're just fascinated by the Beano because everyone read it when they were a kid.
Yeah.
It's one of the few things that everyone has done is read Beano.
Yeah, I'm still reading it now.
Yeah.
It's a great read.
Yeah. So have you done Liverpool as a Comic-Con festival they have there every year, or?
I did it a few years ago, and then I did one in Crosby this year in March, I think it was, or April. It could have been May. And it was earlier this year. I did one in Crosby. I don't like to do the same one every year because then people get complacent.
Yeah.
Well, I want them to miss me a bit, you know. I want to be some point of me coming back, rather than it's him again, you know. But I'll always do a London one because you get. Having said that, I'm not doing a London one. There's a London one in November, and I'm doing. Where is it? Somewhere up north, like Harrogate, I think. I'm in Harrogate. Never done Harrogate before.
Beautiful place.
Is it?
Yeah, it really is. It used to be a town that was like exclusive for the high class. You know, commoners were not allowed into the city area.
That's why I can't believe you've been there, Terry, because, you know.
I worked there for about 6 months.
Oh, good Lord. And I've been invited there, so clearly it's not high class.
Changed a bit, yeah. Only the last 6 months, though.
Nigel, you mentioned before that people approach you and say, "Oh, you're that cartoonist." How did they know that? Was because am I a bit ignorant of this? But was your name signed off in the end of the article or the page or something?
Yeah, in fact, it's on page 1 of everything I do. It says story
right,
by,
okay.
art by. We've done that for about 10 years now. So and also I do a lot of Comic Cons. You know, most weekends I do something. And I've been, on TV and radio and in papers, magazines, and online, and so on and so forth. So people kind of get to know me a little bit, and it's good.
Yeah.
I did the Eden project last year. You know that one down in.
Yeah.
I did five or six demonstrations a day, like classes with kids and adults, how to draw Beano characters.
Wow.
And in between one and another, the kids were queuing up outside. I just Beano artist here, but how? Sometimes that's the reaction you get. It's like, what on earth is someone who is in the Beano every week doing as an event in my town? And it's like, well, just like you might get someone from Game of Thrones or a Doctor Who or someone from Star Wars. Yeah. It's what we do at the weekend. You know, we go around and say hello to people.
Cool, nice one. So you work with colour artist Nika Nartova, is it? How does that collaboration work? Do you draw the comic strips and pass it on to her? Draw them in pencil and then you back and forwards, or?
Well, it used to be like that years ago when we worked in the same room years ago. I would draw them and I'd show her how to colour them and this and that. Nowadays, because she's been doing it nearly 20 years for me, I hardly ever see her. I hardly ever speak to her, except if she drives me to one of these Comic Cons, which she often does because people are more delighted to see me, more delighted to see her than they are to see me, because then they know they're going to get a colour drawing done at these events, you know. But I just sent it to her by I do a sort of a rough plan of the page, and then I do all the detail work in pen, scan it in, you know, on a computer, and if you've heard of one of them, and then email it, electronic mail. We've got a lot, you know, here. Up to Nikki, I call her Nikki. Her name's Nika, but I call her Nikki. She lives about a mile away, and I send it to her, and she colours it on computer nowadays. She doesn't do it with pens unless we're doing an event together, and then she uses colour pens.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So you do an event together. Yeah. And see you scribbling away, handing over to her, and her going colour. Yeah. That's brilliant. That'd be good to watch.
Because a lot of people who do it, I kind of like the breath is taken away because, you know, we're very quick. Obviously, we don't take all day doing these things. We want to do a few. And I do, you know, a quick likeness of them, and then Nikki colours it, and they're just absolutely amazed and astonished. And we've had people in tears because they're so pleased with what we've done, you know. Not to like big up my own part of it, but because of Nicky's colouring, you know, it's just great.
Yeah, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Nigel, Steve asked you about writing the dialogue. Is there a Bible of the characters? You know, is there certain, you know, key facts about the characters that are built up over the years?
Yeah. And here it is.
Wow. Yeah.
In Nasher colours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah.
Nasher colours.
All that and what they look like, what they say, what their catchphrases are, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And we adhere to it pretty strictly. Not everyone adheres to it as strictly as I do. Don't seem to have a copy of it, but there you go. Most of it's my stuff anyway, you know, that I've done over the years.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty au fait with it without looking it up, to be honest. But because I've drawn most Beano characters over the years. Like Minnie the Minx, I was the sole artist on that for 4 or 5 years. I wrote it quite often as well. And Bash Street Kids I drew for a year. And in fact, up until recently, I used to do Minnie the Minx, Bash Street Kids, Roger the Dodger, and BeanoMAX, as well as Dennis and Nash every month or so. So, you know, I kind of know what's going on in the video.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
So who's, out of all those characters you've just mentioned, and there's a lot, who's your favourite? You must have a favourite.
Yeah, I do. I love drawing the Bash Street Kids, you see. And there's so many of them, because there used to be 9 of them, but now there's 15 of them.
Yeah.
Because they're all so different. And they've all got different personalities and different expressions, and they play a different role in the story, you know. So if the writer writes all 15 of them in, then they really should give the story to me, because I like doing a lot of characters. Not everyone does, as you can understand. It's hard enough, you know, coming to terms of doing 4 or 5 different characters in a story, but doing 15, and then you've got the teacher, and you've got the janitor and the janitor's cat, and who else, you know, there's lots of different people involved. I love the Bash Street Kids. My favorite, it was always the one I liked best, you know, back in the old days when I was a kid.
You mentioned before about media appearances. I've heard you a couple of times on Radio Merseyside, but back in, I think it was January, I saw a clip of you on the BBC, the Breakfast Show. You were paying tribute to the late David Sutherland, OBE. Was David Sutherland? Was he a kind of mentor for you in your early career?
No, not really. Only insofar as he drew the Bash Street Kids in the 60s when I was reading it.
Yeah.
And I really liked his very sort of clinical, precise approach he had to drawing it. Everything was very carefully detailed, so there was none of this obfuscation that you often get with cartoonists and artists and illustrators, where they just make it a nice looking drawing, but how a contraption works is kind of hidden with dust or with shadows or something. None of that. You always do it precise.
Yeah.
So I don't really like that. I only met him once, and it was on a sort of a night out when someone was retiring. So it wasn't a detailed discussion of our work or anything. But he said he liked what I did, and I said I obviously liked what he did. And but he'd drawn the Bash Street Kids from 1962 to 2023. So that was a long time, you know. Very long career, and he'd just been made an OBE, and his last ever one was published in January, and he died in was it December? Anyway, I went all the way to Salford, you know, Media City at BBC. He sent a taxi for me at 4 in the morning.
What?
And I got sat there with many cups of coffee, and they put me up for 5 minutes at 9 o'clock. You know.
Yeah. Were you awake? Your wits about you?
It was. I had a new shirt and everything. It was good. You know.
Yeah, look, the clip looks great. What I've seen.
So you began this career in comic writing in 1980. Now I know for a fact from when I was a kid that a lot of these characters were around, and you've just mentioned it yourself. You know, back in the day, back in the late 60s, early 70s. So how did you get into this?
Well, I always wanted to draw comics. I really didn't I've mentioned this before to Terry.
Yeah.
I really sort of squandered my education because I always knew that that's what I was going to do. And yeah, I went to I think we can agree, Terry, a fairly good school.
Yeah, just a grammar school, yeah. It was approved.
Very much so. And, yeah, but we had a lot of one of those places where your horizons are broadened. It wasn't just like you didn't just go with the kids from your local street. You met people from all over, not just from Liverpool, but from outside.
Yeah.
And the local kids from Everton. So you got a really good cross section of the people, and also it had sort of School Collegiate had still had its old fashioned like masters wore gowns, and it was all very very much like grammar school. So we had a mighty organ, of course, which was fantastic to pretend to sing to in the morning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was one of those things that you felt kind of very privileged, but although I enjoyed my time there, and I felt that I got a lot out of it, and I just loved being sort of so close to town. You come out and you could be down at Lime Street Station in 10 minutes, or be ahead in 20 minutes. It was really, or the library in 10 minutes. It was really great, But I always wanted to draw, and I never really considered anything else. I didn't, I've never learned to drive. I've never learned to cook. I've never learned to do anything except, draw. And so it's lucky that I was able to get the job that I always wanted. I don't know how much of it is luck or how much of it is dedication or both or neither. I don't know, but that's what I wanted to do, and that's what happened. And who knows how these things work out?
Now, tell us about some of we've been chatting, as we do on Facebook and Twitter, some of the celebrities that you've drawn. There's one of the Kaiser Chiefs singled the angry mob.
That's right. I drew the Kaiser Chiefs. Actually, funny enough, a friend of mine, Sondra Leong, who's a top manga artist, did a TV show with Ricky from the Kaiser Chiefs. About encouraging young artists last year. And when he found out she was doing it, he said, "Oh, one of my favourite things, but the only piece of art I got on my wall is the original drawing of the Kaiser Chiefs by Nigel Parkinson."
Brilliant.
Yeah. So that was nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he went to art school, so he appreciates it.
So understood it. You've done one for Mock the Week as well, I've read. The show on the show.
It did. It was the show on my birthday in 2015. Funnily enough, I wasn't in. It was in London going to go to a gig. Yeah. But when it came out, someone said, "Oh, I've just seen you on TV." So, very interesting. I've done a few. I can't remember them all. I mean, the ones I remember, of course, I did Harry Hill for a year.
Oh,
more
yeah.
Than the Paul McCartney thing in the final issue of the Dandy.
Yeah.
But I've done so many. I mean, just this last month we did 24 different celebrities in the birthday Beano. We had Marcus Rashford, Anton Deck, Stormzy, just 24 of them anyway. Yeah.
Is it 85 years the birthday for the Beano? Yeah.
1938 was the first issue, and here we are 85 years later.
Yeah, it's got some pulling power, hasn't it? Staying power.
The thing about the Beano is, you get a lot. You must have seen a lot of people on social media complain about the Beano being like different to how it used to be. I said, well, thank goodness it is.
Yeah.
Why would it?
Yeah, it's time to change.
The thing about the Beano is it's always the same and it's always different, which is a brilliant trick to pull off. And we work very hard to do that, to make sure that it's the same as ever and different all the time. It's not something that anyone else does, because everything comes to an end eventually. Like Top of the Pops around for 40 years and had to end. Private Eye is the only other thing that's been going, which is similarly also increasing print sales, like Beano is, by the way.
Oh, okay.
But of course, they deal with current affairs, all the time. So there's always something new for them to do. Same with newspapers, of course.
Yeah.
But the Beano is, every week it's fiction, but is it?
Yeah.
And I'm proud of the fact that we do new things all the time, that we're up to date. Not too long ago, maybe 15 years ago, having discussions with the people at the Beano, saying, we should have more of this, we should do more of that. Because I'd go to events, and kids would say, "Why isn't there someone who'd like me in it?"
Yeah, yeah.
And I'd say, "Yeah, that's right, we should." But it was kind of stuck in this. And I'm glad we're now, because we've got like a girl in a wheelchair, we've got a girl in a head thing, Habib, whatever it is.
Yeah.
We've got black kids, we've got kids from all different sort of backgrounds, more girls in it now, because it used to be Beano was for boys and the Dandy was for boys and girls.
Oh yeah.
But now the Beano is for boys and girls, and you get as many girls and women who love the Beano, who come up and thank me for what I've done. I mean, I have returning fans as well at events, and especially in London, I have people come to see me every time I'm there.
That's nice.
Again.
Yeah.
I must have like 6 or 7 portraits by me over the last few years. It's great. Yeah, it is. I went on a bit there. Go ask me something else.
Okay. You mentioned celebrities. The past couple of chats we've had, you mentioned this thing with Paul McCartney. Could you tell Steve, maybe not familiar with the story, about the Dandy almost closing?
Yeah, the Dandy was getting down to 9,000 print editions printed every week, which in those days, 10 or 11 years ago, was the death knell. Had to end. Yeah. And I remembered in 1963 that Paul McCartney had said, when the Beatles were just starting, really, had said that his ambition was to have his picture in the Dandy. So I got in touch with him and said, it's now or never. Yeah. And he was keen enough to do it, with no questions asked. In fact, I said to him, we'll do it and I'll send it to you for you to okay it. And he said, no, it's okay. You go ahead. I trust you. Brilliant. So we did it. During those days with the Olympics and the Jubilee, and he would sing Hey Jude and would join in. Yeah. So we did that with the last Stanley, the final one. Yeah. And it was finally coming to an end December 2012. We had Paul McCartney in it, and he contacted me the next day and he said, can you send me a couple of copies because I can't find it in the shop?
All been sold out.
Yeah, it has. So actually, we printed a load. Well, we printed like more than 1 million, which is unheard of.
Wow, yeah.
So I managed to scrounge a couple of copies and sent them to him. Thank me for. And then about a week after that, he got back in touch and said, thanks for doing it. It's great. He said, in fact, some members of my family think it's the greatest thing I've had my name attached to.
That's absolutely brilliant. Tribute.
That's something, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, not off. Yeah. Last time we chatted, Matt Adcock, he just created his graphic novel. I think I asked you this last time. Have you ever done that yourself? Dabbled in a graphic novel or a work of fiction, a novel?
I have. Nothing. I've never had anything published like that. Yeah. I've got an idea to do a sort of autobiographical graphic novel. Oh, yeah. Finding the time is the problem there because I'm sort of busy 7 days a week. I don't really know when I find the time. Okay. But I do have a plan of doing that. And I do have quite a few pages mapped out in my mind, but they need to be on paper or on computer, really. Yeah. But I probably, I can't say for sure. Yeah. I'd like to at least make a start on it, maybe publish part of it maybe at some point, yeah.
Okay. You mentioned how busy you are. Is there a deadline? Like, is there like an hour, a date set in stone for you to hand over?
Yeah. Well, every week we do something every week. Yeah. So there's like a rolling deadline every day almost. Something is due. Yeah. When we do things like for the annual, that's not so much set in stone. That can be rolled back. Yeah. I think I was supposed to send something in this week, but I think it's the next week. Yeah. Yeah, for the 2025 annual. That's not a mistake. Wow. 2025. Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's weekly. We do 51 issues a year because we only do one over Christmas. We don't do the second week. Yeah. So it's 51 issues a year, and every single week there's a deadline. And very often I'll be asked to do something, to fill in for someone else, because either they on holiday or busy on something else. And, we did a thing a couple of years ago, but we did a book, and someone just didn't have the time to do one of the double-page spreads with thousands of people that at the zoo with all the different animals in it. So they asked me to do it, and I said okay. So I did that as well as my own page in it, which was country park, sort of forest region where people having picnics everywhere. So always something to be done.
You mentioned in your Twitter biography, if you like, at the top, I draw things, and did you notice my hair? Right, you're going to have to explain to me, is that a relevance to Dennis the Menace, perhaps? I don't know.
No, it's just I'm pleased to still have some hair.
It's the shortest I've ever seen it, Nigel. Normally you got like a big bouffant, somebody, a big head, big hair.
Well, yeah, I've been away. You see, I've been doing. Yeah. You got to smarten yourself up a little bit when you do gigs. Yeah, it's just nice to have some hair.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got something below the headphones, I think. Yeah.
There you go, you see. It's nice, nice.
Yeah. Final question then. What advice would you have for a new aspiring writer or cartoonist, illustrator?
Well, I think for anyone who's interested in doing fiction or cartooning or anything of that sort, is if you like it, do it every day. Don't sit around thinking, what shall I do next? Just do something, do anything. Because the more you train your muscles to write or to draw, to do anything like that, the better you'll be when you actually have to do it. Because there'll come a point where you're doing it for a job, for a living, and you might not feel like it that day. But if you know you're going to do it, you've been doing it every day, you'll do something. And even if it's no good, and you figure the next day, that was a waste of time. It wasn't a waste of time because you got some more practice in. And then it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. I've been doing it 45 years nearly. I draw every day because, I need to practice it. And people who don't end up having such a fulfilling career, I don't think, because they have to start again all the time. And it gets harder and harder the older you get. So although it's easy when you're young, and if you find it hard when you're young, then really practice.
That's excellent advice. Yeah. Well, Nigel, on that note, let's say thank you very much. Let's keep in touch as we do.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. See you later.
See you later. Cheers, Nigel.